Gavin.
Hey, Mr. Cifuentes.
You ready for this?
I guess I am.
Today what we're going to be practicing is learning about the floor manager. So a floor manager is, the responsibility is to send the signals to usually the talent. So we wouldn't be on screen. The floor manager, say for example, Gavin would be the camera person, I would be the floor manager, and the camera is actually pointed to someone who's being the talent, someone's actually on the screen. And I'm playing the role of floor manager right now, that I'm going to be sending signals. So Gavin, you're kind of just, do you understand that, kind of like the way
Yes.
that that's set up? Okay, so let's go ahead and practice what the floor manager would actually, some of the signals that the floor manager would be sending out to the talent, okay? And all this has to be done in a way that isn't distracting or too much or makes any noise, just in case the audio is picking up from one of the cameras. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice that. So just pretend that you're out there recording the talent and you're focused and you're working on that, okay? So let's look at one of the first one. Can I have one of the students tell me what's one of the first ones we need to do?
You're on.
So when you're on, when the camera goes, so say like right now the director would be, okay, going live, and we're going live, and once he starts recording and it goes to 0 that they're on now, I'll point at the talent. So imagine you're the talent, point the camera back at the other camera, and I would be like, and that just means that you're on. You can do something not over the top. You don't want to do something crazy. So as long as you're pointing like this, that means you're on, okay? So as now we're recording, and what's the second one there?
Look at the camera I'm pointing to.
Okay, so sometimes in a setup, you actually have multiple cameras. So whenever the camera angle changes, we need to point at the camera and make it where it's just nice and subtle for them to understand. So say imagine we had another camera out here, and then this one's the one that's recording, so I want the talent to look at this camera, and say for example, the student at Sling Studio says, okay, now I'm going to move to the other one. Someone in the background would say, I want you to look over at this other camera, and so forth, okay? So that's kind of like switching from one, look at this one, and then look at the other, okay? And one thing, as far as the talent being on the screen, they want to make sure that they act natural. So you wouldn't want to be like, okay, the floor manager just told me, switch over to the other camera. I don't want to be like this. Okay, you know, I don't want to do that. Don't lose your bearing when you're on the camera. When you point over like this, you're on this camera, and then when you see the other one going like this, then you'll switch over nice and smooth to the other camera, okay? What's the next one?
Speak louder.
Speak louder. Sometimes when the mic may be just pointed off a little bit, or, you know, for some reason your mic isn't picking up your voice so much, the director might say, like, I can't hear you, and if you got to speak louder, this is kind of like, you know, we can't hear you. Without saying anything, the talent should be able to see, use their peripheral vision. You keep on looking at the camera, but I'm looking at the signals going like this, and it's very clear signal, so I can speak louder. And that would help the audio folk, and then the producer be able to hear, okay, so it sounds a lot better now, okay? All right, so what's another one?
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. When at the end, you're kind of like wrapping it up, you're kind of doing your goodbyes. You sometimes hear this in radio, right? In radio, it's sometimes they start playing the music that's like, okay, we're wrapping it up, go ahead. You got 30 seconds, tell me this thing. And we start wrapping it up this way, okay? So it's something else.
Cut.
Okay? So sometimes the show just has to, you know, die off. And it would be something like this. This is kind of like really quick. It's being cut right there, okay? So we're cutting away, all right?
Speak softer.
Speak softer. Sometimes from one person to the next, the actual audio levels are kind of like being controlled, but then one person has a louder voice.
Like
you know,
me.
So, like Gavin, right? So imagine if when Gavin is on the camera and he starts speaking really loud,
Like how I do.
like
I
you
always
normally
talk
do,
loud.
and then I talk a little bit softer, right? So maybe when he's on the camera, you want to give him that floor manager wants to go like this. He's like, hey, let's turn it down just a tiny bit. Okay, so they'll turn it down, right? And then when it comes back to me, they may be doing this again, all right? So it's like, I need you to speak louder, right? Another one?
Stretch what you're saying. You're going too fast.
Okay, sometimes when someone is speaking too fast, and we're going to try to get this done because we have just a couple minutes to talk about this, you're going to be like, no, slow it down, and I want you to do this, all right? So, okay, so we're going to talk about this video a little bit longer, right? So that you want to stretch out what you're saying. But sometimes it's the opposite, which is,
Speed up your speaking. Time is running out.
okay, so you want to start doing this, all right? So it's like, yeah, get it out, all right? Wrap it up, you know, so you don't want to leave off on a bad note, and then we have to cut because of time constraints. So let's wrap it up, or, you know, so I think that another one, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, so that's about it. So is there any questions as far as what a floor manager would be doing? Floor manager's kind of like the meme, right? It's not the meme, the mime. What is it called?
Mine?
Is it the mime? Meme, mime, it's the same thing. You can't anyhow, so it's the guy just giving the signals, right? And usually, obviously, you don't want to be in front of the camera, but you want to be totally quiet as you're doing this, okay? And not so much where it distracts, because the human eye is actually attracted and flickered when there's movement. It goes right to that movement, okay? Any questions about that? Cam, you're
I
pretty
understand
good?
completely.
All right, pretty good. Do you have any words for our viewers today?
Whenever you're working with cameras, it's always good to not bump the camera. And when you have a tripod, there's 3 legs, and the leg you want to stick out is this one that's alone. So you don't straddle the leg like this.
Very good.
That's bad. Don't do that.
Man, that's a Gavin 101 right there point. That's a really good point, all right? So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Ready? All right, wash your hands.